My girlfriend texted from Miami. I'm extending the trip. I met some promoters who are paying for everything. Don't wait up, I replied. Don't come back. Then I changed the locks and put her clothes in trash bags on the curb. When she called crying that the promoters ghosted her. Title says it all, but let me break down how I ended up single and stress-free in 24 hours. Been lurking here for months, reading everyone's drama, but never thought I'd be posting my own. Life comes at you fast, though. Quick setup. I'm 27 and dating Ashley, 25F, for about 6 months. We met through mutual friends at a house party, and things moved pretty naturally from there. She's attractive, outgoing, works in sales, and seemed normal at first. Key phrase being seemed normal. I own a small auto shop that I inherited from my uncle 3 years ago. Had to buy out my cousin's share and handle the business transfer, but it's mine now. Not rolling in cash, but I make good money, and the business is solid. Ashley works at some luxury car dealership selling to rich people, which is how she got used to being around expensive things. From the beginning, Ashley was always talking about wanting to travel and experience new places. Nothing wrong with that, but her version of travel involved 5-star hotels and first-class flights. When I suggested we take a weekend trip to the mountains or beach, she'd make faces like I suggested camping in a garbage dump. First red flag should have been when she insisted we split everything exactly down the middle on dates. Not because she was independent, but because she was already spending her money on designer clothes and couldn't afford to contribute more than her exact share. I paid for plenty, but never felt like she appreciated it. Ashley had this group of girlfriends from college who were all about the Instagram lifestyle. Constant posts from expensive restaurants, exotic locations, designer everything. These girls were either trust fund babies or dating guys who funded their lifestyles. Ashley wasn't either, but desperately wanted to fit in. The Miami trip came up about 3 weeks ago. One of her friends was celebrating a birthday and invited the whole group down for a long weekend. 4 days, 3 nights at some boutique hotel on South Beach. Total cost per person was around $2,000, including flights, hotel food, and clubs. Ashley assumed I'd be cool with her going and help with the costs. When I pointed out that $2,000 was a significant amount of money, she acted like I was being cheap. Started talking about how her friends' boyfriends never complained about trip expenses. I made it clear that she could go if she wanted, but it was coming out of her own pocket. I wasn't funding a party weekend for her and her materialistic friends. She got angry, saying I didn't support her friendships or want her to have fun. The conversation got heated when she suggested I was being controlling by not wanting her to go. I corrected her immediately. She could go anywhere she wanted as a single woman. As my girlfriend, she needed to consider how her choices affected our relationship. Ashley tried the usual manipulation tactics, said I didn't understand how important these friendships were to her, that missing the trip would damage her social standing with the group, that boyfriends are supposed to invest in their girlfriend's happiness. I told her she had a choice. She could be someone who prioritizes expensive trips with shallow friends, or she could be someone who builds a relationship with a partner who actually cares about her. But she couldn't be both while dating me. She spent the next week going back and forth about the decision. One day, she'd say the trip wasn't important, and she'd rather save money with me. The next day, she'd be on the phone with her friends talking about outfits and restaurants. I could see which way it was heading. Eventually, Ashley announced she'd found a way to make it work financially. Claimed she had some freelance graphic design work that paid enough to cover the trip. I knew she was lying because she'd never mentioned graphic design skills before, but I didn't push it. The Friday before the trip, Ashley was packing like she was moving to Miami permanently. 3 suitcases plus carry-on bags filled with outfits for every possible scenario. When I commented on the amount of stuff, she said her friends always overpacked for trips. She left early Saturday morning, and I spent the weekend working on a classic Mustang restoration project. Peaceful, quiet, focused work without someone complaining about being bored or wanting to go shopping. Should have been my first clue about what I really wanted. Saturday night, Ashley started posting stories from Miami. Fancy dinner at some waterfront restaurant. Sunday was poolside photos at the hotel with cocktails that probably cost $20 each. Monday was shopping on Lincoln Road with bags from stores I knew were way outside her budget. Monday night, I got a text that changed everything. Not a call, not a conversation, just a text message like she was informing her phone company about a service change. Having an amazing time. Met some promoters who are paying for everything. Extending the trip, don't wait up. I read it 3 times to make sure I understood correctly. My girlfriend was telling me she was staying in Miami with strange men who were financing her lifestyle. Not asking for my opinion, not discussing it with me, just informing me after the fact. The promoter's comment was what really got me. Every guy knows what that means. These weren't legitimate business contacts offering professional opportunities. They were guys with money looking to party with attractive women in exchange for picking up tabs. I texted back immediately, "Don't come back." 2 words that ended our relationship right there. No argument, no negotiation, no second chances. She chose to extend a trip with random men instead of coming home to her boyfriend. I chose to respect myself enough to end it immediately. Ashley responded an hour later with a bunch of question marks and then tried calling. I sent it straight to voicemail. Whatever explanation she had, I wasn't interested in hearing it. Her actions spoke louder than any words could. That night, I gathered up anything she'd left at my house. Clothes, toiletries, books, random stuff women leave everywhere when they're staying over weekends. Took maybe an hour to gather everything into trash bags. Not being vindictive, just efficient. She'd made her choice to stay in Miami with promoters, so she didn't need belongings at my place anymore. Tuesday morning, I had a locksmith come by and change all the locks on my house. Cost me $200 but worth every penny for peace of mind. Also had the garage codes changed in case she'd memorized them. The trash bags went to my garage Wednesday morning. Figured she had 30 days to contact me about getting her stuff back before I'd dispose of it legally. Standard breakup protocol. Wednesday evening, my phone started blowing up. Ashley calling, crying, texting, demanding to know why her stuff was gone and why her key didn't work. I ignored everything and blocked her number after the 5th call. Thursday morning, I got a call from Ashley's friend Katie, who'd been on the Miami trip. Apparently, Ashley was stranded at the airport because she'd extended her trip but hadn't changed her return flight. The promoters had indeed ghosted her once they realized she wasn't interested in whatever they had planned. "She needs help getting home," Katie said. The promoters ditched her and now she can't afford to change her flight. She maxed out her credit card on the trip. I almost laughed. Sounds like she should call those promoters who were paying for everything. Come on, be reasonable. She made a mistake, but you can't just abandon her in Miami. Watch me. I hung up and blocked Katie's number too. Ashley's poor planning wasn't my emergency anymore. She'd chosen to extend a trip with strange men. Now she could figure out how to get home on her own. Friday afternoon, Ashley's sister Emma called. Apparently, Ashley had been texting the whole family begging for money to get home from Miami. Emma wanted to know what had happened and why I wasn't helping. I explained the situation calmly. Ashley had chosen to extend her trip with promoters who were paying for everything. When those arrangements fell through, she expected me to rescue her from the consequences of her own decisions. "She says you broke up with her through text message and threw away all her belongings," Emma said. "She informed me through text message that she was extending her trip with strange men. I informed her through text message that the relationship was over. Seemed like appropriate communication for the situation." Emma tried to convince me to reconsider. Said Ashley was young and made an impulsive decision, but deep down loved me and wanted to work things out. I told her, love doesn't look like choosing random men in Miami over your boyfriend at home. Saturday morning, Ashley's mother called. This was getting ridiculous. 3 different family members trying to convince me to rescue someone who disrespected our relationship publicly and obviously. Mrs. Henderson went straight into guilt trip mode. How could I leave her daughter stranded in a strange city? What kind of man abandons a woman in need? Didn't I have any compassion or decency? Your daughter abandoned our relationship for promoters in Miami, I said calmly. She's an adult who made adult choices. Now she can deal with adult consequences. She's learned her lesson and promises it will never happen again. Good for her. She can apply that lesson to her next relationship. I blocked her number and decided this was getting out of hand. Ashley's entire support system was calling to pressure me into rescuing her from her own bad decisions. Made me realize how enabling they'd been her entire life. Sunday evening, Ashley somehow got access to a different phone and called me crying. The promoters had apparently paid for her hotel through Wednesday, then cut contact. She'd been staying in some cheap motel near the airport for 2 days, trying to figure out how to get home. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "I made a huge mistake. I never should have trusted those guys or extended the trip. I was just having fun and got caught up in the excitement." I listened to her cry for about 30 seconds, then cut her off. "You weren't caught up in excitement, Ashley. You made a calculated decision to choose strange men over your boyfriend. The only thing you're sorry about is that it didn't work out the way you planned." "That's not true. I love you and want to come home and fix this." "There's nothing to fix. You showed me exactly what kind of person you are and what your priorities look like. I'm not interested in dating someone who makes those choices." She begged for another chance, promised she'd learned her lesson and would never do anything like this again. Said the promoters had seemed legitimate and she'd just been naive about their intentions. "Call your parents for money or figure out another way home. Either way, don't contact me again." I hung up and turned off my phone for the rest of the night. Monday morning, I got a text from Katie saying Ashley had finally made it home after her family pooled money for a flight. The text included a warning that Ashley was planning to come by my house to return the spare key and get her belongings back. I replied that the locks had been changed and her belongings were in my garage, waiting for pickup. Tuesday afternoon, Ashley showed up at my auto shop during business hours. Probably figured I couldn't avoid her if she came to my workplace. She looked terrible. No makeup, hair a mess, wearing clothes that looked like she'd slept in them. "We need to talk," she said, walking into the garage. "No, we don't. You have 5 minutes, then you need to leave." Ashley started crying again, said she'd been stupid and impulsive, but the whole Miami thing meant nothing. That she'd learned her lesson about trusting strange men and wanted to rebuild our relationship stronger than before. "The Miami thing meant everything," I said while continuing to work on the car I was servicing. "It showed me that you'll abandon our relationship the moment something more exciting comes along." "I didn't abandon anything. I just extended a trip by a few days." "You extended a trip to party with promoters who were paying for everything. You chose their money over our relationship. That's abandonment." She tried a different approach, started talking about how much she missed me and how empty her life felt without our relationship. How she'd been thinking about all the good times we'd shared and realizing what she'd thrown away. Good times like when you complained about every restaurant being too cheap, or when you insisted on splitting bills because you spent all your money on designer clothes. Those good times? Ashley got defensive, said I was being cruel and holding grudges over minor compatibility issues, that couples work through problems instead of giving up at the first sign of trouble. "This isn't the first sign of trouble, Ashley. This is the final sign of trouble. You chose Miami promoters over our relationship. That's not something you work through, that's something you learn from." I walked to the front of the garage and held the door open. "Time for you to leave. You can't throw away 6 months over one mistake. Watch me." Ashley stood there for another minute, looking around my shop like she was trying to memorize everything. Then she walked out without another word. Haven't heard from her since. The whole experience taught me something important about dating and standards. Some people will test your boundaries to see how much they can get away with. If you don't enforce consequences immediately, they learn they can disrespect you without repercussions. Ashley thought she could have her Miami adventure and come back to a boyfriend who'd be grateful she returned at all. Instead, she came back to change locks and trash bags on the curb. Sometimes people need to learn that choices have permanent consequences. My friends think I was harsh for ending things so quickly. said I should have given her a chance to explain and work through the trust issues. But there wasn't anything to work through. She'd shown me her character under pressure, and it wasn't compatible with mine. 3 weeks later, and I'm focusing on my business and personal goals. Been on a couple dates with women who seem more mature and grounded. Funny how much easier dating is when you're not constantly worried about your girlfriend choosing other men over you. Ashley apparently moved back in with her parents after realizing she couldn't afford her apartment without help from boyfriends. Her friend Katie mentioned she was struggling financially and emotionally after the Miami disaster. Not my problem anymore. The auto shop is doing great, focusing on work and building something meaningful instead of managing someone else's poor decision-making. Turns out I'm much more productive when I'm not dealing with relationship drama every week. For guys dealing with similar situations, my advice is simple. Set clear boundaries and enforce them immediately when they're crossed. Don't negotiate with people who disrespect your relationship. And never rescue someone from consequences they created for themselves. Some women will test you to see if you're the type of man who tolerates being disrespected. Show them you're not, and watch how quickly they either shape up or ship out. Either outcome is a win for you. Ashley learned that promoting yourself to random men in Miami doesn't guarantee they'll stick around when reality hits. I learned that some people will always choose excitement over stability until life teaches them otherwise. Sometimes the best thing you can do is step aside and let life be the teacher.